Hello, hello, hello everyone. Many blessings. Here we are. It is Friday and you guys are on day 4. So today is a little bit more of a challenging day. It was a little bit of a challenging meditation this morning, I'm sure, because I remember when I started this practice of sort of stepping into what makes me uncomfortable. It wasn't easy. So today's educational video, we're talking about Tonglen meditation, which is another Buddhist practice, and it's something that really was empowering to me in the very beginning of my journey, my spiritual journey, because it was everything that I had an aversion to. The practice of Tonglen is also known as giving and receiving. And we do this in order to develop our compassion and develop our ability to be present for our own suffering, which by default allows us to be present for the suffering of others. Now, in Western society especially, we are so conditioned to trying to avoid suffering at all costs. At all costs, right? We get duped into believing that we can live these lives that are just all pleasure and no pain. So there's so many of us that have no idea how to deal with suffering, not our own and not anybody else's, you know, so we just avoid it at all costs. That's why no, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to go on to, you know, that's why so many people turn to drugs and alcohol. We medicate, we seek outside because we can't deal with the pain. What we're not taught is that pain does not have to equal suffering. Pain can just be pain. We can be in pain and we can accept pain for what it is and feel it and let it go and not turn it into suffering. But because we don't know how to do that, we cling on to it, we hold on to it, we drag it out, and it turns into this massive suffering. So the antidote to that is Tonglen meditation, or it was for me anyway. And the idea of this is, while it also allows us to become present with our own suffering as well as the suffering of others, and it develops our compassion, it also is like a giant, you know, medicinal meditation for so much of the world. Because when we think about how much suffering there is in the world right now, and we open ourselves up to that in Tonglen meditation, and we take in that suffering, and we send back goodness. It's like you're taking it and sending back goodness. So when you think about that, that's against everything that we would do usually, right? I mean, and when I first started practicing this, I remember reading about it, and I was like, you want me to do what? You want me to breathe in suffering? And lucky for me, my arch nemesis at the time lived nearby, and I had daily interactions with her, and she drove me crazy. And she was just the embodiment of suffering coming out in all different directions. And all the different directions that she was coming out in pushed my buttons, because it was all the things that I struggled to deal with before I really tapped into my compassion. So I would have, you know, emotional reactions to her. I would get angry, and she was my person to practice Tonglen on. And I would just sit there at night, and I would inhale and bring in her pain and her suffering. And I mean, you guys know I'm empathic. I could feel it all. And I would just send her back, you know, love and generosity and kindness. And it was hard. I will be totally honest with you guys. It was effing hard the first 2 times I did it. So let me read to you from Pema, of course, because she is, you know, one of my most followed teachers. So she says, Tonglen, or exchanging oneself for others, is another bodhicitta practice for activating loving kindness and compassion. In Tibetan, the word Tonglen literally means sending and taking. It refers to being willing to take in the pain and suffering of ourselves and others, and to send out happiness to us all. The bodhicitta teachings that Atisha took to Tibet included the practice of Tonglen. So she goes on to talk about how there's many ways we can approach Tonglen, and you'll hear many ways and read about many ways the more you, if you want to research this. But the essence of the practice is always the same. We breathe in what is painful and what is unwanted, with the sincere wish that we and others could be free of suffering. As we do so, we drop the storyline that goes along with the pain and just feel the underlying energy. Now, for most of us, that is the challenge point in the beginning. Because here I am, and you know, when I practice starting it, and I'm practicing it with my arch nemesis down the street, and I'm breathing in her pain and suffering, and everything in my head is screaming out, you know, no, F her, and why should I do this for her? You know, I was new into my compassion at the time, so I still was learning all of that unconditional love, and everything in my head wanted to be like, no, what are you doing? So that was the hardest thing, was learning to bypass, like she just says, we drop the storyline. We completely open our hearts and minds to whatever arises. Just let it be. If emotions and feelings and energies come up in your body, let them be. And that's why I did the practice I did this morning, kind of walking you through. And we're going to do a traditional Tonglen practice tonight. But it's always, because what we forget is that whatever's going on in our mind, we can always come back to our breath. The mind will still try to hijack you back, but you can return to the breath. You can do like I did with you this morning. Breathe. I'm going back to my breath. Thank you, thoughts. I'm going back to my breath. Thank you. Back to my breath. Thank you for sharing. That's what I like to tell myself. Thank you for sharing. We're not interested right now. I'm gonna go back to my breath now. So Tonglen as a formal practice has 4 stages. And the first thing you do, and like I said, we'll do this tonight, but just as a quick intro, you sit in a moment of stillness or openness. You tap into that moment of unconditional bodhicitta, which is that raw, soft, vulnerable spot, that unique essence within us all, that is the soft, sweet spot that makes us who we are. The second stage, we start to visualize and work with the texture, the raw energy of claustrophobia and spaciousness. So we tap into that feeling of just feeling like this. And that's what I started doing in the beginning too, because I cannot stand being claustrophobic. So you start to tap into this. You just visualize it, you work with it, you feel it without mentally engaging with it and freaking out. And it's a challenge, and your mind will fight you on it. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. But it's okay. It's 10 minutes. I promise you guys, nobody's died from Tonglen meditation. So whatever your head's trying to tell you, you can thank it and tell it you'll come back later when you're done with your meditation. That's all I'm asking of you guys today. Until I get on my live stream with my tourmaline wand again. The third stage is the essence of the practice. Breathing in whatever is unwanted and breathing out a sense of relief. How often do we do that? We don't sit around breathing in what is unwanted. I mean, I do now as a practice since I learned this. Before that, that thought never would have occurred to me. It's not what I was here for. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys think of this and hear what your minds are already probably kicking up as you're listening to me talk about this. I could hear it already. Oh, hell no. She wants us to do what? Oh, God, no. I'm not doing that. How am I going to sit through this? Oh, my God, this is going to start and my head's going to do this. And I don't want to think about this person and, oh, my pain or, oh, this or, oh, I already know because my mind says it all too. So don't you guys worry. If I can do it, you can do it. I fully believe that. So I really wish I had a video of myself from, you know, about 5 years ago, and so that you guys could understand. And the last and final stage, we extend our compassion further by including others who are experiencing the same feelings. If we want, we can combine the third and fourth stage of breathing in and breathing out for self and others at the same time. And I will walk you guys through this tonight, but think about the beauty in that. I remember the first time I sat doing Tonglen and with my arch nemesis in mind, and I was breathing in that agony and that pain and that suffering that she was feeling. And I connected with that. I connected with that because I was feeling the same thing. Wow. it was one of those moments for me. And I came to see that although my behaviors were manifesting in different ways and in different shitty behaviors to hers, what was underneath the manifestation of the shitty behaviors was the same emotion. So it humbled me. It humbled me a lot. And it stripped away years of judgmental thinking. So I still get a little bit of goosebumps thinking about that moment, because it humbled me so much, and it cracked me wide open to where I finally understood what I had been reading in these books. That was one of my first real moments. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hey everyone, sorry, I got cut off. Switched phones, so if that just totally jumped and looks a little bit weird and different, sorry about that. I just wanted to finish up saying that was the first moment that I had this real practical working understanding and knowledge of all, working practical application of all the knowledge that I had been learning and reading about. Because to me, I think that's where so many of us get stuck. We get stuck in our heads, and there'll be like a massive block in the throat chakra, and the working knowledge from the mind can't get down into the heart where we can bring it to fruition, into the solar plexus where we can bring it out into the world as working knowledge. And that's the trick for me, is that moment where we've been learning and learning and learning and learning, and all of a sudden that stuff, we have that moment and we're like, that's it. This is what they've been talking about. And all of a sudden we feel like we know some big cosmic secret. And that's what they mean when they say we'll laugh at the sky and, look up at the sky and laugh because it's all just some big joke. Because we finally see that. We finally understand on an inherent working level that all the shit we've been reading is true, and we get a glimpse of that. And that is the beauty of practicing. So I will see you guys tonight for our Tonglen. Much love. Have a beautiful day. Bye.